Welcome to the Beasts Who Made Us podcast. I'm Cori, a dog trainer from Chicago. You may also know me as Venus and Mars Canine, and I talk today with Dylan Jones of Day to Day Dog Training. We get pretty detailed in this episode about dog training, so this is a good one for fellow dog trainers, as well as anyone who is curious about the specifics of where we are at right now culturally with dog training, particularly in regards to working with behavior modification or rehab programs that focus on problems such as aggression and reactivity. We get into the nitty-gritty, and yes, that includes a little bit of controversy. So buckle up, and here it is.
So my name's Dylan Jones. My business is Day to Day Dog Training. I operate out of like the Syracuse, New York, upstate New York area, and I train pet dogs. I've been training dogs in total for coming up 8 years, so it's seven and some change. And I would say the last 2 or 3 years, I've been primarily dealing with behavioral case dogs. Um, and that's pretty much it.
So I wanted to have you on today because I have a lot of admiration for one thing in particular. Well, I think that you're a good dog trainer, obviously, but something
Whoa,
that I think that
nice.
is particularly cool about you is that you are essentially doing deep dives online for a lot of your behavior cases. And I think in a world where many of our attention spans have been shrinking and short form video content is like the norm now, and also in an industry where much of like what exactly happens during a board and train program has been intentionally kept in the shadows. I think that long form video content is important, and I think the fact that you're popularizing that and sometimes even demanding that other trainers do the same is really cool. So I'm wondering, what made you decide to start posting your training videos online, and like, did you know right away that what you were doing was kind of a big deal, or no?
Okay, so first thing, I knew you were going to have good shit. I was not prepared for how cerebral. Like I have so many things I want to get into just off of that.
Oh, that's exciting. Good.
That's it, like fantastic. Yeah, so I guess to get into my motivation for doing what I do, it's a multi-pronged type deal, but generally speaking, for anybody that just is not aware of my deal, like especially the last 2 3 years with the more interesting, dangerous, struggling dogs, I pretty much post as lightly edited case progression as I can across multiple platforms. And I'm sort of moving into trying to make more long form YouTube videos. So it's just like one link and it can be an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and you can just watch the entire thing in one go. But basically, if you go on my Facebook or my Instagram, you can scroll for now years and just kind of see the whole progression of what's happening with these dogs and the result and all that. Um, I would say that my first my first motivation, I had some sort of like I don't know what you would call it. um I think before I checked out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they had these Nexus events that were kind of like the center moments that defined like a universe. And I would say I had
Mm.
two major, yeah, I'm one of these types of individuals, by the way. I've actually been out of superhero stuff for a long time. It's kind of sad. But I had initially, when I started training dogs, I got a job with this like very basic vanilla cookie cutter uh board and train churning slop company. And I have fond feelings and respect for some of the people along the way that really helped me out, that gave me a chance and all of that. But the experience generally in terms of what is taught in terms of dog training and just kind of like the attitudes of the people are all bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I did a lot of the 2 week uh, boot camp board and trains, and I had this sense, and we could get into, generally speaking, like more broad thoughts on the industry, but I think that keeping it to the behavioral case stuff and like the reason why I show so much that I do, when I realized eventually that I don't want to do this anymore. I would like to evolve and go off and deal like specialize. I wanted to become like a specialist because I had gotten bitten by a couple dogs And I was like,
Mm,
man, it would be cool to be the one to be able to come in and actually help people in these dogs in these scenarios. Um, I'm sure that many of you listening, if you're plugged into the dog world at all, maybe can identify. But back then, and this was, again, we're talking 4 years ago, it was extremely frustrating how impossible it was to track down any evidence that anyone has ever actually rehabilitated a reactive or aggressive dog to any notable degree. And
totally.
let alone that, but actually can prove that the dog had issues to begin with, and also that they actually trained. Like, what did you do? And
Mm-hmm.
every corner that I turned, I had I had like an edgelord skeptic phase when I was in high school and college. So I kind of just I've never dropped that sort of like maybe some of the bad behavior online, but also some of just the innate untrusting of people just saying things. And
Yeah.
I found that when I was trying to get into behavioral modification, I was just surrounded by people talking. And then I go outside of that circle and it's like, let's go try to contact the real professionals and see what they're doing. And I'm signing up for courses and I'm doing all these types of things and I'm on people's newsletters and their video series. And it is just people talking. And when I took a step beyond that and I started to ask, I was much more polite back then. Hey, like what, like, can I see? Right? Like,
Yeah.
you say that this drill or this correction or this technique, whatever, is how it's done. But you're either just showing me in an empty room with a dog, or you're just on in front of a whiteboard talking about it. Can I see it? And
Mm-hmm.
what I found was I wasn't met just with no, I was met with defensive reactions from people. And that
Mm,
when you're in sort of like the skeptic online debatey cringe world, typically when someone gets really defensive off of a very uh, basic low level scrutiny ask for evidence, typically they're hiding something, right? There's
mm-hmm.
something going on, or something not going on rather, in this case. And I came to the realization at that point that I don't really know if anyone has any idea what they're doing, but neither do I, so I can't really say anything about it. And that
Mm-hmm.
that was like a really frustrating, like nauseously frustrating place to be, where I just don't like. I go on Facebook and I see an ad for this like aggression seminar, and I'm looking at the people, and I'm just like, dude, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Mm-hmm.
I've researched you. I've talked to you. I've talked to people that have gone to your seminars. I've talked to multiple people that have gone to your schools. I don't believe a single word that you're saying. I don't see any dogs. But I also am a really bad dog trainer. I don't know what is right or if there even is a right. So I kind of just had to repress that, and it really, really bothered me. So now with what I do, I'm really trying to make a point that for people that are trying to get into this type of thing, I want people to see that it things are possible and this isn't just talking. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to think that because I signed up for this guy's 6 week online course and I did everything that he said to do and it failed, that's the end of the line. It's like, well, no, there are actually people out there training the dogs and getting things done. So I'm trying to be a resource for who I was 4 or 5 years ago, because it was incredibly depressing, to be honest with you. And yeah,
Wow.
I don't miss being at that point where I'm like, dude, I've got this dog in front of me that I wish I could do something about, but I have actually nobody to ask for help. Nobody. Like, it's
Yeah.
just it's a very demotivating. It's very demoralizing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, wow. I was wondering if there was any level of like coincidence for you, getting into posting these long form videos, but it sounds like it's the opposite. Like this is very much rooted in your experience learning about these cases was like riddled with lack of information, and now you're out here making sure that you're providing as much evidence and information as you possibly can, basically.
Yeah, and it goes beyond that too. That's certainly a huge motive for me, but I also, admittedly, I have a serious broiling scorn for the talkers.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
that
I think
that
that's
wasted. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, no, I just wanted to like validate you for a second that I totally have experienced the same thing and I know what you're talking about. And in some ways, obviously it's really cool that there is so much content and like seminars and webinars and stuff about dog training. And I have certainly learned like tons and tons from courses online and people that I've went to in person. But I think that in terms of behavior modification and especially aggression, there's a really, really serious deficit in our industry of things that are beyond theory and beyond that
Yeah,
like just trust me kind of
just
attitude. And
yeah,
I think there's an implication sometimes like people are able to hide behind the idea that before video was too ugly, or you know it was maybe too dangerous to get that video, which in some cases obviously would make sense. I wouldn't want to ask a
sure.
client to like get bit so that I can post
Yeah,
online,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's still it's like okay, I mean, especially these people that have like teams of 10 trainers working for them or something, like you really can get that footage and you should be able to show what you're doing too.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's another element. The excuses.
Mhm.
Um, when again coming from my just sort of innately skeptical, like, hey, you kind of you have to, as a professional, especially with how high stakes behavioral mod is. That's probably
Mhm.
the thing that bothers me the most about it is this is probably the last field in dog training, aside from maybe like search and rescue and uh some of like the serious task dogs with people that are ill and need, that's extremely high stakes. But with some of these dogs that are doing things that are going to get people hurt, or
Mhm.
are going to get the dog seriously injured, sometimes killed, the the standard of evidence from the so-called authorities is non-existent. And
Mhm.
that's I'm infuriated. Like, I still, it's very frustrating to me even now. I think that people are slowly starting to just kind of be like, wait, why? Like the best thing that I'll ever see is when I'm just like a dog trainer's page will come up, and of course it's just all talking, and the top comment will be from someone that does not follow me, and they'll be like, why should I believe you? Can you show me any of these dogs you're talking about? That is the greatest. Like, that makes me so happy. Because I know, and I'm not claiming direct responsibility. I'm just saying that it finally someone is just saying, who are you and why should I listen? And
Yes.
it's a smoke and fire situation too, where if you say, hey, I kind of just need to see something that you can produce, if that person on the receiving end of that is someone with a so-called training school, 20 years of experience, 10,000 dogs, if they have even a slightly bad reaction, like a how dare you, or they start giving excuses, it's there's something going on. And
Mhm.
ironically, these are the same people that often put up their lists of trainer red flags.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
if I
Absolutely.
see someone that has a trainer red flag list and then I scroll on their page and I cannot see dogs being trained, the
Yes.
irony is unbelievable.
Yes, yes. I also have a thing, not even only related to dog training, but I think that infographics are the death of human intelligence.
Oh,
So
Jesus
I think those things
Christ.
go hand in hand, especially for dog training. Yeah, if you're
Yes.
looking at a dog trainer's page and it's only text, that's kind of weird. So yeah, I think what you're doing is, I don't want to be corny about it, but I think it's really, really, really important and awesome. But
Thank
let's
you.
rewind. Yes, you're welcome. Let's rewind a little bit And I want to talk about the first place that you worked at because I think that we have
Hmm.
somewhat of a similar backstory. And
Yeah.
I know for me, I worked at a facility that I would call a cookie cutter facility. And
Yeah.
I was just a daycare attendant there, but I was learning about training. And like you, I was falling in love with dog training, and I also feel fondly towards the people that I worked with. And I don't hold, the inadequacies against them on a personal level or anything. It's how I started to learn everything that I started to learn at that time. For me, I worked at a place that had a competition obedience focus, even though they were mostly training pet dogs. So they mostly actually
Yeah.
weren't training competition obedience dogs, but that was kind of like the philosophy or just the core values that they had in training. So
Mm.
every behavior problem that came in was answered with sit, stay, down, stay, front, and heel. And that was pretty much it. There wasn't really a lot of nuance for talking about these dogs' lives and the human lives and the nuances of behavior.
So can I really fast before I get onto, because I think it's important to talk about the places we come from, but I want to respond to something you just said really fast, all right?
Yeah.
So this is another thing that I would say right when I started figuring out, and I was educated at the Training Without Conflict Academy. We can go into that too, but like that's where I learned to rehabilitate dogs. But when I started
Mm-hmm.
getting into aggression and all of that, something struck me, and it sort of, I don't want to say freaked me out, but it again, it's one of these like late night realizations that just made me go, holy shit. Um, what you just said about behavioral issues were met with sit, stay, down, heel, right?
Yeah.
There's a question. There was a question that formed in my brain, all right, which is, if that is how you are dealing with aggression, reactivity, whatever, anxiety, you are dealing with those things through obedience.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between you training a 6-month-old golden retriever to not pull on leash versus a 75, 80-pound Rottweiler that's trying to kill the neighbor? If
Right.
all you are doing is obedience to address the behavioral issues, all you're doing is obedience to train the obedience dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only difference that exists in your methodology and your programming is that the second dog is wearing a muzzle.
Sure. Yeah.
That's not training. So to be clear, that's not training. So
It's
a lot of
it's
these,
not
like,
behavior modification, that's for sure.
no, no, it is not. So that is sort of the scariest thing, and why I can't recommend a lot of trainers for these types of problems,
Yes.
because the vast, vast, vast amount of programs like this are basic food obedience programs with a muzzle on, and that is
Yes.
not behavioral modification. Now, to be clear, I am not against teaching obedience to dogs. Okay, that's not
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying. But if someone is charging an extra $5,000 and on their company fucking Power Rangers van that they drive around and it says aggression specialist, right? That should not look like an identical program to a basic obedience client, but it does.
Yes. Well, I'm
Um,
I'm guessing that
yeah,
that probably directly ties into your dog training origin story too,
right.
because I think that that problem is especially common in board and train focused businesses, and especially businesses that don't have a lot of follow up. So even say you have a trainer who teaches obedience to a level where it can mask behavior issues a lot of times, that trainer probably does have a plan in their head about how you would handle those situations, but that can, with obedience and whatever, but that can kind of fall apart even just in the instruction end of things. And a lot of those facilities don't really focus that much on instruction. So is that kind of what it was like at the place you started?
Well, yes, and again, the questions just continue to come. Just one more thing. You keep doing it to me, okay? So so when you've got that type of focus where it's like, well, no, like we need to do obedience at thresholds and avoid the
Mm-hmm.
problem and then, magically, I don't know, like a genie comes out and heals everything. Like, no, because inevitably something bad's going to happen. And then the trainer's only recourse, the only thing they can say back to the owner is don't put him in that situation.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I was making dinner and I dropped a piece of bread on the floor, and when I bent over to pick it up, he attacked me. What do you mean don't
Mm-hmm.
put him in that situation? I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
live my life with this dog. So anyways,
Yeah.
that's just a huge cope from people that aren't actually doing any behavioral modification. And they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to deflect the responsibility onto the owner. My owner's stupid. He had him off place. It's like, dude, who are you training for and for what purpose and what's the goal? Anyways, yeah, so I got I got my start in training at one of these probably very similar boot camp 2 week, 3 week board and trains. Actually, it was a hard 2 weeks, and then as I realized over the course of a year and a half how unfair that was, I had to beg and plead to get an extra week with some dogs, which I did for free because I
Oh my
knew it just
God.
wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to the dogs, and I hated being like that to them. But yeah, I was surrounded by people that for the most part were nice enough, but oh, they've been with the company for 6, 7, 12 years, whatever, and it's kind of uh, upsetting to look back on, but the first contact I had when because you have to go to their facility to quote unquote learn to become a trainer. But you go to their little school or whatever, and the first dog that I saw with one of the senior trainers was visibly afraid of her. And I just it's just part of the human condition, I guess. I kind of like didn't want to believe my own eyes because I'm stupid and I'm not a dog trainer and she's been training for 11 years. Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, clearly I'm not an authority. She is, and I need to defer to her judgment, even though I see this little 5-month-old pit bull literally shaking when
Mm-hmm.
she tries to interact with him. And it's like, oh, I look back, it's like, man, do you think it had anything to do with the non contingent electric shocks she was giving the dog 500 times a day? Maybe. Um, but yeah, I mean that was the methodology that was instilled into me. The one of the first days that I was there, I was told if I was ever seen on camera giving a dog a treat or throwing a ball, that I'd be fired on the spot. Um, all of the dogs live in obedience commands 24 hours a day, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposedly we're training the dogs to be off leash and free, but the dogs are just in command off leash, which is again, I started seeing the holes in the ship very, very early on, but I didn't have any good information to fall back on and be able to say, hey, this make a case that this was stupid. Um, but I did the right things that you're supposed to do in training. And I would say I lasted a few months doing that until I realized that, yeah, I mean, these dogs, I had a dog look at me the same way that little pit bull looked at the senior trainer, and I said, dude, I'm gonna fucking quit. Like, I hate this. Like, if this
Mm-hmm.
is what dog training is, I'm just never going to do this again. And I got on YouTube and I just started watching different people's videos about dogs. And, I saw some trainers doing things with dogs where the dogs looked like they weren't suicidal. And I was like, okay, so it is possible to achieve something in dog training without treating the dogs like garbage. I'm going to stick it out
Mm-hmm.
and I'm at least going to do like an experimentation phase and kind of see what ends up happening. And I was fortunate enough, to her serious credit, that my boss was very much open to me doing whatever I wanted to do. As long as the job
Mm-hmm.
got done and, we you have to take videos. It's basically like the whole thing is a marketing scheme. Um, she's like, no, dude, like if you're getting the job done, I do not care how it is done. Right? Like go try to become a better trainer. So, like, she actively knew that I didn't like what was going on. Um, and at that point, it sort of like reinvigorated me to say, hey, like there is at least some different world of training that I'm not familiar with, and I don't have a mentor. I'm surrounded by people that don't question a single thing, but at least I have the internet and I can like DM people and try to have conversations, and I can go out and make up my own shit and see what happens. And that was sort of the thing that kept me sane and kept me into dog training.
Yeah.
The training for the so-called behavioral case dogs in these programs is exactly the same as if
Right.
you have just like you're just stimming the dog into command, and
Mm-hmm.
you know some flavors of if he looks at the thing, stim him, and then oh, if he's still blowing up, you need higher value food. Like that is literally just it, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I sort of start experimenting around with different ideas. I sort of one of the big questions I had is why are these dogs in command all the time if supposedly we have off leash control? What if we start letting them just kind of like explore around? And I
Right.
know how ridiculous that sounds. Like it sounds ridiculous for me to
No,
say that. As
to me, let me tell you something about it was we had pretty different foundation like specific training things between you and I, but what is similar
Mhm.
is this skill only mindset.
Right.
And when I went to my training apprenticeship, I remember, and I don't know how I managed to stick this into my memory. Maybe this was the moment that I started doubting it, but I got into an argument with my mentor at the time who was very gracious about me being kind of like stuck in my old headspace, but she wanted me to feed a dog a piece of food from disengaging from the trigger, and I said, "Why would I reward my dog when he's off cue? What does that mean?" Like I was
Yeah.
completely unable
Yeah.
to conceptualize the idea of
Yeah.
reinforcing or punishing behavior if it wasn't within the context of a skill sit down front heel.
Right.
I'm like, how will he understand what I
Yeah.
want him to do?
Right. The dog made a choice. Like the dog made a
Right.
choice, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I just couldn't conceptualize. I was like, but the choice wasn't sit down heel or front,
Right.
so what does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how broken my brain was at that time.
Yeah, and it's sort of the I mean, even then there's layers to the prison because I would say that obedience becomes a prison. I would also say operant conditioning becomes a prison. Um,
Yeah. How did you find out about the training without conflict school? And second of all, can you pronounce Ivan's last name for us?
yeah, Balabanov. I'm not I'm not Bulgarian. I think it may be Balabanov. But we say Balabanov, yeah. And it's
Yeah.
I imagine it's Ivan. But yeah, I don't. I'm not worldly enough to drop the Ivan yet. Maybe one day. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So how did you find out about him? YouTube?
Well, so I had my time with,
A dog training franchise.
and it's kind of insane how quickly, like when I say that I started experimenting with the dogs out of command, I mean that they started changing like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Immediately to the point where I'm putting out better dogs than probably anyone in the entire company. I'm
Mm-hmm.
being totally serious. Like I don't say this with any ego. I'm totally detached, just objectively speaking. All of a sudden, just allowing the dogs to run around and sniff, and hey, I'm gonna have a friend come over and let the dog just go get a belly rub. The dog's general outlook on life and the things that they predict will happen and won't happen when they're outside with their person or with their family, there was something that came alive inside of the dogs right then. And I was like, holy shit. And even with dogs with little reactivity issues, dogs that I was told before, no, if the dog looks at the dog, you have to stim him back to heel. I just started going like, what if I just like let him look and I let him think about it? Those
Mm-hmm.
dogs started getting better immediately. And I'm not going to say that just letting dogs do things hands off entirely fixes every problem. That's not at all the pitch I'm making. But this is just to say that I realized there was something going on that I was kind of I was now I look back on it and I know that I was touching on the emotional state. I was giving the dogs agency, and I was allowing them to indulge in their senses. So these are just like fundamental TWC concepts that I look back on and I'm like, oh, I can kind of explain why those things were helpful. At the time, I had no idea, right? I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, what if I do that? And it doesn't work. Okay, just don't do that anymore or try again later. And then, so I was doing that for a while. The dog started to get significantly better. And eventually I felt confident enough. I was like, I'm just going to like start my own company and really try to find a way to overhaul how I train. Like I want to get into some sort of education. I just don't know exactly what it's going to be. And someone seriously is going to have to meet my standard of evidence for me to sign on and really try to dig into a methodology. So after like 2.5, 3 years or so, I started training dogs on my own. And I went to a Larry Crone, J Jack, Joel Silverman workshop seminar type deal. And they had talked about a video called Chase and Catch. It's
Mm-hmm.
Chase and Catch 2.0. And this is the first time I had ever heard of Training Without Conflict, Ivan Balabanov. And it's a video. They're talking about this to the audience. It's a video about playing fetch. And I'm like, all right, this is just fucking like, what are we talking about, boys? Like what? Like, okay, dude. Like I get it. Like you wanna I'm kind of going to this. You want to look nice in front of the audience and promote things that feel good. But again, I am almost to a detrimental level, extremely skeptical of people that are authorities. I just, so I'm listening, I'm like, whatever, whatever, whatever. But then, at some point, like we're having conversations and during downtime, and Jay Jack told me that, hey, this guy Ivan is one of my mentors. He opened a school. Um, I'm just telling you that you should do it because he could tell. I think Jay could tell that I was kind of like I was asking a lot of questions. I was trying to get deep into the information they were giving us, and I was like really,
Mm-hmm.
really locked in. He was like, "No, you should check it out. Like seriously, watch Chase and Catch, and then if you've got the time, if you've got the money, you need to enroll in the school. If you don't have the time and the money, you need to make arrangements to enroll in the school." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever, dude, whatever." Um, but like I take his opinion to this day. I take his opinion extremely seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And I went home and I watched Chase and Catch, and I want to say that's like again back to the Nexus events. That's probably the most formative moment of my entire dog training career is watching that video. Um,
Mm.
it's it's one of the most like I can get into that. I'm not trying to like I don't make any money for this. This isn't a sponsorship. um, I can explain why that video is so significant to me. I also happen to think it is the one of the most important dog training videos ever made.
I think that's perfect because I wanted to ask you about how you use play in training in general, and
Yeah,
I know that you think that it's really important, but I just want to say it's
yeah.
so funny to imagine you watching a seminar video or if they were doing it in person of playing fetch and you're just like, okay, yeah,
What the
dogs like
yeah,
flip balls.
cool.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
right.
telling me.
Right. Well, that's the thing.
It's
That's the thing
so
is
funny.
if you just it's funny and I try to not so that's why when trainers nowadays when I see people sort of trying to dismiss play or downplay it I try not to be really frustrated because that's exactly how I was.
Yeah.
Like there was a trainer. It was couple of weeks ago. I can't remember the dude's name, but he's very popular, and I just saw one of his videos. He was like, "This play thing. People are just trying to avoid having to do the real work, and everyone knows how to play with their dogs. No one needs to be taught how to play with dogs." I was like, "Dude, holy shit!" Like
Just so not reality.
playing with dogs is so deep. And man, this just sounds like pure Reddit right now. It's so deep that until you get any grasp of it, you actually don't know how trash you are at it. But
Yeah.
anyways, okay. I'm still dog shit at play. Like I happen to believe there are maybe like two or three people on the planet that actually know how to play with dogs, and the rest of us are just dregs. Doing pale imitations.
You could get kind of deep about we as a society right now are not really good at playing just in general, dogs
Yes.
or people.
Yes.
Like we are very serious and children don't play anymore. They only game.
Right.
So it's
Right.
pretty it makes sense that we're so bad at it with dogs.
Right. And it's I bet you weren't expecting a Jordan Peterson reference, and this is where a bunch of people are going to be clicking off the video. I'm not. I'm
I
not
think
saying I'm a
I
Jordan Peterson
was.
fan. No, I'm not. I'm
I think
not.
I
And
was
by the way, this
expecting
is not.
that.
This was on a. This was a clip from a short, and it only came up. I'm not name searching JP. It came up because the topic was play, but JP made the claim that the opposite of tyranny is not freedom; it's play. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And what he said about it was play cannot just inherently cannot be coerced. It cannot. As soon as there is
Mm,
any coercion or non-consent, it ceases to exist. So play is like anyways, we can get into that rabbit hole. Because it is extremely interesting. But when it comes to behavioral case dogs, which again, at this time, I am still thinking I would like to deal with behavioral modification. I still have not found a single person that can produce any reason, any justification for why I should follow their methods. Right? These are all just ghost illusory dogs that, oh, I've rehabbed 500 dogs, I've rehabbed 20,000 dogs, and you cannot find a single one of these fucking dogs, right? So at this point, I'm really cynical about the idea of someone teaching me how to train dogs. I'm desperately looking for any reason, right? Like I want to believe, but I cannot. I turn on Chase and Catch, okay? I get home from the workshop, I turn on Chase and Catch. And yeah, fetch goes burr, like dog likes chase ball, me throw ball, dog happy. Like I get it. Um
uh,
there is a lot more on in terms of the significance of play and how it is done in that video. But specifically, there was one section of the video, one section towards the end that changed, I like just changed everything. Like it completely changed how I like the decision to go to the school and all of that.
mhm,
There's a section in the video rehabilitating behavioral case dogs with play. Like, okay, this is going to be another guy standing in front of a whiteboard and oh, if you throw the ball, the dog gets happy and now he's not biting. It's like, okay, I've kind of heard shit like that before and whatever. I'm already going in with a bad attitude, like just to be totally honest.
mhm,
But that's not what was in there, at all, actually. The my now teacher, mentor, he shows the full progression of getting a dog dropped off at his facility, Belgian Malinois, that very clearly she had been through some really bad conditions. I don't know. I can't remember specifically if they mentioned it was extremely heavy-handed training, but this dog is clearly living in a state of defeat. She's her head's down. She doesn't make eye contact with people. Her tail's flat, her ears are flat, and she's just a miserable animal. And I'm like, whoa, okay, like we have a dog with a problem. Um, what are we like? I had never heard of anyone that could actually help a dog like that, right?
mhm.
And he doesn't just talk about helping the dog. He does it and he shows the entire progression of how
Wow.
he effectively resurrects this dog from behavioral death with a soccer ball. And he shows the entire thing. And he shows the dog running around and playing with her head up, her tail up. And it was one of the most emotionally devastating things I'd ever seen in my life. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned. Like I'm staring at the TV. I'm like, I I didn't even know something like that was possible with a dog. And
Yeah.
probably the thing that truly just shocked me was that he didn't present this like it was some sort of miracle.
Mhm.
It was very much, yeah, these are dogs, and this is how we treat our dogs. This is what we do for dogs. And immediately I'm like, I gotta find out what this guy's doing. I have to. I have never seen anything like that. I've never heard anyone talk about dogs like that. I couldn't still to this day, it was just completely stunning to me. And yeah, I enrolled in the school shortly after. I checked to make sure with my wife that we had the money for it. And I was like, I need to find out whatever this guy is doing. And yeah, the rest is yeah history,
That's
I guess.
awesome. I don't know if you know the answer to this or if it has come up, but do you think that him not being from the United States has like is related to why he is able to look at things from a more like organic place? Like here in the US, we have gotten really into thinking about things like everything's a little science experiment, and we manage the dogs really tightly, and also we just have lots of like dogs in apartments and dogs that are only ever on leash. Do you have any idea if there's like a cultural influence to the idea of like training with more exposure and like natural behavior and play?
Listen, I I don't know if anyone could ever explain this guy, okay? And I'm not I'm not trying to turn this into a glaze segment, all right? I'll leave it at this. Again, I think I've laid out that I was beaten and battered and lied to and disappointed and led astray by every so-called leader in the industry authority on this subject, right? Just total letdown. I am going in trying not to believe my eyes, right?
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I do not know if the level of not only skill, like mastery on a level that it almost seems like it's magic,
Mm-hmm.
paired with the level of empathy for the dogs. I do not know if those two qualities at the levels that he possesses will ever exist in another human being simultaneously ever again. I do not know. I
Whoa.
have no explanation. He is not a normal person. And I, when I saw what he could do, when I saw how he treats the dogs, when I heard his explanations, when I got to ask him questions, I was like, this is it. This is it. I, I, calling myself fortunate is an undersell. I can't even, like, I'm having a hard time articulating.
Yeah.
If you're serious about training dogs, you should be at the school. Like, it's just, it is what it is. And I took what I've learned from that school, and I actually could not stop doing it if I even tried. That's just, it's
Yeah.
part of who I am at this point.
It sounds like it really was the complete opposite of what you were experiencing at your first gig too, and filled all of the the gaps in what you were experiencing there.
For sure. But to illustrate that stark contrast, one of the first segments in the school, like, one of the students asks, yeah, like, you're talking about this and like, the stages of learning and all these concepts and how, like, the proper learning environment, but like, we don't always have the time to set this up for the dog. Like, we need to get the job done. And he kind of has a very very Dylan coded reaction. He has like kind of a hostile reaction to that. He's just like, I don't care, dude, these are dogs. That's not fair. You can budget
Yeah.
in an extra week to give the dog time. Like, why are you doing that? And he didn't mean it as a personal attack to the person asking the question, because I think everyone in the room wanted to ask that question about time. But that is the total opposite, the total complete 180-degree opposite of everything that I had seen, where it is, we are trying to churn through dogs as fast as possible, forget they ever existed, and on to the next one. It's the total
Yeah.
antithesis of it.
Yeah. That's awesome. He's just like, I'm telling you how to fix it, and that's your job, is to figure out how to make the time and
Right,
create the
right,
environment.
right.
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool. Do you have any particular play technique or like concept in play that you think about the most when you're working with dogs now? Like, what is it about play that you focus on for your behavior modification dogs?
Oh shit. Damn.
Or maybe
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
too big of a question.
no, I have an answer immediately, but that there's like a million different. So this is very field dependent, okay? Because play is so unfathomably goaded, as the children would say. I think they would say that
I
it's
don't think they would say
unfathomably goaded.
unfathomably.
Okay, okay. But you actually you could be like a high level, the fucking Mondio ring trainer competitor. You could be uh, someone training police dogs. You could be someone doing my little weirdo niche, which is dealing with behavioral case dogs. And play is still absurdly powerful. It's just in the ways that it is can sort of become more or less relevant in certain characteristics depending on the goal of what you're trying to do with the dogs. So if you're a high
Mm-hmm.
level competitor in a sport, you want precision, speed, intensity. You want the dog to have a strong emotional conditioning to the obedience commands. Play happens to be insane for that, right? But
Mm-hmm.
like I'm training these little mongrel Amish bred dogs that are trying to kill each other and kill their own, like whatever. I don't need them to snap into a competition heel at the speed of sound. However, there are things that play does with behavioral case dogs that I feel like people don't take as seriously as they should. One of the major takeaways that I had from TWC, and I would consider the course to be a behavioral modification course, by the way. And you kind of get
Mm-hmm.
out of it what you're thinking about and what you put into it, but I genuinely do believe it's a behavioral mod course. And people think it's like an IGP course. Like you can use it for IGP and you'll absolutely crush. But I'm telling you, like that, the way that I perceive it is the more in trouble that a dog is, the more potent TWC is. But
Mm-hmm.
clarity of intentions, all right, clarity of intentions. This is something that I am thinking about constantly. Constantly when anytime I'm with a case dog at any stage of training practically, but especially at the beginning. The power we talk about the power of first impressions at the school too. The law of primacy and all that type of thing, right? So play is basically an undefeated means, an unparalleled means to demonstrate to a dog that I am on your side. I have no bad
Mm-hmm.
intentions. I don't care that you tried to kill me earlier. I'm wearing bike gear. I don't care. Like I'll forget about it if you will. Let's go play ball. That you actually, until I see someone doing something better, I actually think that is the best possible thing that can happen to a dog with behavioral issues. No joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am actually just happy to say that. And I am seeing no one else put up any contradictory evidence. So that play as a means to demonstrate to a dog that is in a really rough place emotionally, that likely, um, again, a huge TWC deal is just constantly considering the perception of the dog. We do not care about ourselves. We do not care about how we are perceiving things. It is what is going on. How do I believe the dog is taking in his environment, responding to his environment? What are his predictions, right? So if you have a dog that's been biting people or blowing up on walks or trying to dive in front of cars, it is likely that this dog, out of a sense of necessity and safety, has had to live a really repressed antisocial existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is possible that he is biased towards not wanting to believe in people. He's looking at people like, you think I'm a freak. You're trying to stay at thresholds. You're trying to get the muzzle on me. You're flinching anytime I move. Like you hate me, right? And like I said earlier, the exact opposite of that tyranny, that repression is play. Hey dude, I know. Let's go play ball. That is, you actually just can't beat it.
I think this is such a good pitch to get educated further on that subject too, because I can't stop imagining some random trainer meeting some random mastiff with a reactivity, stranger danger flavored reactivity, and the
Yeah.
random trainer in my head like throws a play bow and then just like gets mauled.
Gets killed. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I can beat that. I can beat that because that is a thing. Like for sure, you need to you need to be safe, and a huge part of my strategy involves bike gear and all that. And I think people are finally coming around to the bike gear, though. Again, I did not invent it. This is something that I saw my teacher utilizing it with aggression cases. Again, floored me. But I can actually beat that. It's That's the most potentially disastrous scenario. It's like you try to engage this dog in play and you get smoked or whatever. And he takes it
Hmm.
the wrong way because you just don't know how to interact. But actually, more commonly, what happens is, and this isn't just with behavioral case dogs. whenever you see a trainer that trains with food try to play, it's man, it's it's like, how do I want to put this? I imagine like someone in a church turning a cross upside down, like the reaction that the crowd would have. That's like the reaction I have watching a transactional food trainer try to reward a dog with a ball. It makes me like it's just like desecration. You know what I mean? Because trainers that primarily deal in transactional positive reinforcement paycheck type culture training, they lack the ability, or at least in the moment they it can be unlearned. I think you can be deprogrammed. They lack the ability to truly engage the dog consensually on a level playing field. Dude, we're just doing this together. This isn't like you're clocking in at the warehouse and then I just dispassionately drop the ball and you get to hold it for a second. It's like, no, dude, we're doing this together. And that does, if you are a very I dunk on training with food. I don't like training with food, but it's not, this isn't specific to food, but it just, that's the manifestation that it primarily takes. Is if you are out training with food all the time and you're thinking, why would that dog do that for me without his paycheck? There's a very high probability you are going to have a hard time playing with dogs. And then when the dog doesn't play with that person, they say, oh, he has low ball drive. It's like, holy shit. um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
want to elaborate on that a bit too, and say first of all, I think I know the kind of stereotype that you're referring to, and it's something that I thankfully don't see or deal with that much because I am in the sport world, and I think a
right.
lot of people are good at using food and playing at the
Yes.
same, having both of those in their tool belt.
Hmm.
But as an industry, there was a trend of people getting really into what they would call free shaping and being aware of how unintentionally body body language from handlers overshadows what we intended to be using as cues in our training. And I think as a result, people got really into standing completely still and using a clicker to get perfect timing, but then forgetting how we can use our voice to influence our dog, like using a clicker and thus forgetting how to use the human voice when interacting with a dog, stripping down our movements so we can isolate cues, and then becoming a robot and not knowing how to act organically with their dog. So I just wanted to like elaborate that on that a little bit in case people aren't familiar with that trend or stereotype, because it is very specific. There is a whole world of training that revolves around people sitting in a chair and not communicating with their animals, which
Right.
is can be really really cool for like one specific thing and then isn't cool for anything else.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. So, okay, I should have expected this because we had some DMs like months and months and months ago where I wanted to send you back like walls of text, and I'm feeling that right now. Responding to that. So to relate it back to dogs that are in like a desperate state, and
Mm-hmm.
the owners are desperate. The dog could be doing dangerous things. It could be maybe the dog isn't even dangerous, but he's miserable, like that dog that I talked about from the chase and catch video.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that that robotic transactional beeper food lever person
Mm-hmm.
is the last trainer on the planet that dog needs. I'll say something that is actually not controversial at all. Um, I think, but it probably would make people, grasp their pearls. A dog with an antisocial aggression issue versus that person, the dispassionate, unemotional, robotic food dispenser that acts like they don't even want to be there. That dog is better off with a heavy handed but contingently clear trainer that operates with the dog on the emotional spectrum. And to be clear, I am not advocating for that trainer, but the dog at minimum will see this guy recognizes me as a social being. Like
Hmm.
he's here with me acknowledging that I'm alive and that I have a fucking brain. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Maybe he's kind of a prick, and I wish he wouldn't slam the shit out of me for that or whatever. But again, like we can go down this thought experiment. If the uh, overly powerful aversive is contingent, it's actually still, I'm putting heavy quotes here, okay. But I'm contrasting it to that same dog who is really lonely, really freaked out, really pissed off, really anxious, whatever combination of those things, and he gets dropped off at a trainer that is effectively a mannequin that drops food on the floor.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, all of these trainers, they're afraid of their dogs. They're afraid of their client dogs. And I don't know if they think that I don't know that, but they are. And they send the dogs home still afraid, which means that the clients are afraid. But that is the great sin when it comes to those techniques and that methodology. When it comes to the dogs that desperately need a person, they desperately need someone to engage with them emotionally and socially. The worst thing that you can be is that trainer, in my opinion.
Yeah. That I thought that you were going to say something about the fact that that guy is taking the dog outside too. But
Right? Yeah.
then you touched on the social element,
Yeah.
which totally makes sense. But then
Right.
obviously there's just this idea of course, management is important to make sure that the dog is no longer rehearsing the self-reinforcing undesired behavior, and like management is important for safety. And I feel like maybe that was like kind of a new concept somewhat recently in the history of dog training, but for sure a lot of people have taken it too far in that we're not pushing, oftentimes as an industry we're not looking to like push the boundaries of can we make this dog's life bigger. And I think most of the time that's just due to lack of skill. And the trainer would say like, I like maybe this dog could have a bigger life, but like I don't really know how to safely make that happen, so like let's play it safe. Which
Well, then why, uh, Corey? Why is that trainer having that internal self awareness and then getting on the internet and telling everyone how to train reactive and aggressive dogs?
that part I don't
That's
have an
that's my
answer for.
problem. That is
Yeah.
my problem. All right, right. Like my problem is not
Yes.
people acknowledging their limitations, and like if you acknowledge your limitations, you're honest to the client about where you think this could go, but you don't emotionally shame them and try to manipulate and gaslight them into not asking questions and not looking for another opinion. And also, you're not going home and getting on your computer or getting on your phone and doing like harassment dogpiling campaigns against people that are training differently than you. Then we're totally
Yes.
cool. I still would
For sure.
say I don't love that you're taking these dogs and doing this, but at least you're being like honest. But that
Right.
that is my that's my problem. Yeah.
Yes. My point was also that I think as an industry, I think it's time to correct in the other direction. You know, like we had kind of a moment of wow, we can teach owners about management as a concept, period. And now I think it's
Right.
time to correct the other way. Like let's think beyond that. Let's think bigger and make that the main focus and main point.
Yeah. The lines and we don't have to stay on. I actually don't think it's super interesting because it's again one of these concepts I've been thinking about nonstop for years now. The bastardization of the phrase behavioral rehabilitation. And
Yes.
it's not even just blurred lines anymore, just the like management has become synonymous with behavioral modification when actually
Hmm.
they do totally different things. They can work in concert with each other, but they're not meant to be the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously there's a fair amount of nuance to all of this. So I hope to, if anyone is listening and feeling maybe kind of lost in the details of it, that the main takeaway is just to push for more information and to be looking for trainers who go deeper, basically. That would be my hope. Is this a good segue into you talking about Max?
Oh my boy. Yeah, so this dog, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say this dog is pretty much the only reason anyone knows my name. Um so I go through the Training Without Conflict Academy. I'm training dogs along the way, but I'm still just doing general pet obedience stuff. I started playing around at shelters, which is really fun, and it's something I still do to this day, and I'm really passionate about. And um, but I would definitely consider myself to be like a big shelter advocate type person. But
Mm-hmm.
um, here's it's time to sack up. Okay, I've got my goal. I want to become an aggression guy, and I just certified through the school, and I get a direct message from a dog fostering organization in New York City. They say, "Hey, Dylan, we saw your videos pop up, you working with shelter dogs and all of that. We've got a dog here that if we again, they hit all of the phrasing that makes trainers go, oh shit, I got to do something. If we don't do something, he dies, right?" And they weren't lying about this one. Sometimes that becomes like a manipulation tactic, and you do have to be wary of that. Um, but we've got this cattle dog named Max, who he was surrendered to us at 8 months old. He's about two now, I think he was. Um, and something happened in the time frame. Like we adopted him out for a brief time. He came back, and he's just been like viciously attacking people, viciously. Even people that knew him when he was a puppy, that like raised him at the beginning, when he first got surrendered. He is anytime a human hand enters anywhere in like a 3 foot area around him, he is dropping what he's doing and he's trying to take fingers off. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. And they're sending me pictures of some of the bites, and then they're like, well, do you have space for a board and train? Like, this is urgent. We need to do this now, or he's getting put down. I'm like, okay, so this is perfect. This is perfect because this dog does not have an owner that I can let down, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no hard time frame, and I'm not even. I don't even want to reveal this. I'm just going to for context. I didn't take money for this dog, right? And I never said
Yeah.
anything about this at the time because it just does not matter. But I'm just kind of laying out because I think it's a good entry point for people looking to get into this type of thing, to take a project, right?
Yeah.
Where this is the grim logistical reality of the situation. If I fail and this dog dies, you're not talking about the emotional whiplash that a bunch of family members and children are going to have to deal with, right? Like, this is just, he has no one. I can be the last chance, and I can sort of cut my teeth and really deal with what I think could be a truly like dangerous dog. So I say
Yeah. Can
yes,
I ask a clarifying question?
please.
Do you know why the shelter was looking for a board and train instead of just euthanizing him?
The lady that ran the place, I actually think she passed away somewhat recently. She was obsessed with this dog. Obsessed.
Yeah.
She's like,
I
this
was
dog is like my
wondering.
son. Yeah, she was like, this dog is like my son. Like,
I figured it had to be
she,
something like that.
yeah, and I don't mean to in any way, shape, or form speak ill of the dead here, because I had a lot of respect for this lady. She was a very interesting individual, let's say. Um, so she took this dog like extremely seriously, to the point that maybe there was like a delusional hope, delusional optimism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we all
Yeah.
we run into dog people like that and dog owners like that. But um, yeah, they find two people that work with the foster organization to drive him out to me, and he's wearing a harness, and he's got like three leashes on. He's kind of geared up like a fucking science experiment. Like in Resident Evil, like the science experiment breaks out of the lab, but it's still got all like the tubes and shit attached to him.
Yeah.
Like this abomination. So but he's cute. He's a beautiful dog. Beautiful dog. They walk him in, and I'm looking at him like, this is just like, he just looks like a normal dog. You know,
Uh-huh.
we go out in my yard. I toss a ball. He chases it, brings it back. Yada yada. Everything's cool. Bring him inside. And the lady says bye, leaves first, and the guy she was with follows behind her. He forgets what dog we have here, and he bends down and goes, "I'll see you around, Max," and reaches out his hand. And I saw this dog. The dog was facing away from the guy. I saw this dog change. Like he was sitting. He looked over his shoulder. Peeled like his gums, like he peels his mouth back. His gums are exposed, and he turns around and chases this grown man out of my house. All right, so we've got a grown ass man that has to run out of my house and slam the door behind him to get away from Max.
This is a cattle dog too, right?
Yes, yes, he's a cattle dog.
Got
And
it.
so then the door slams. It's kind of like it's like a movie. It's like the door slams and then it's pure silence. And then Max turns around and you hear the little clicks of his toes on the floor, and he turns around and just looks at me, and I'm alone with this thing. So like it's game time. Like this is legit. It's game time. Um and at the time, like I said, I had certified through TWC, and I had recently been accepted into the only other course that they offer. It's sort of like an upper level collaborative behavioral troubleshooting course. It's really cool. It's like super fucking cool. And it's a recurring thing where basically we're monthly. Um, a handful of other trainers, we get on a call, we submit videos of dogs that we have going, cases that we have going, and we basically just like troubleshoot, critique, come up with different plans, and like our teachers on the call. It's one of the coolest things I've ever done. But I had just enrolled in that because I was so mind blown by the course generally, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna start recording what happens with this dog, because the stakes are life or death for him, and I want to make sure that like if I do fail him, I learn something from it. Like I don't want to have to do this again. Like I don't want to fail to no end. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I started
Mm-hmm.
just recording everything that happened practically within the bounds of reason. So
Mm-hmm.
evaluating the dog with bite gloves, I'm giving him treats. I try kind of like he sees me coming in, I stroke his chin and he goes fucking ballistic. I set up another one where and at the time I don't have like a bite suit. I'm just wearing street clothes and gloves. And I wasn't exactly certain at the time that the dog would only go for hands. So it is like this is dumb as fuck, right? Um, but I've got a slip collar on him. I give him a treat or something, and I reach down, and he goes off, and I kind of just like stop him with the slip collar and move him away, like a stiff arm type deal. We can get back to that later because I posted that, and it caused a lot of controversy. Um, but yeah, that was actually sort of like the genesis moment or time for me starting to post aggression stuff. I was actually just collecting tape for my class, and I started just posting
Oh,
things for this dog. Yeah, it would be remiss of me to not mention that I posted the day one evaluation tape of me and him on my Instagram that at the time I think probably had like 1,000 followers. I don't even know. I can't remember. And overnight, um, like I woke up the next day with like 10,000 notifications.
yeah.
Um, like I've got like NBA players sharing the video,
Oh my gosh.
like UFC fighters that I like just watched like a couple weekends ago are liking it. I was like, holy shit! Like Israel Adesanya gets on my page and starts liking my videos. I was like, dude, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my
Um,
God.
you know,
There you had haters. When I shouldn't say had because you still have haters, but I
yeah,
I
yeah,
love that you have circled back to this case, I think
yeah,
repeatedly because you had people who were being critical of you and you ended up posting a ton of his progress videos and his post adoption success and follow
yeah,
up months and months afterwards. And I like that you well, maybe I think you maybe said that you were like thinking if you shouldn't be doing this, but you have tagged some people and that were criticizing you and been like, have you seen what actually happened? I posted what happened to this dog.
yeah, yeah. So I think that you're probably just like a good person. Um, so you're using the word criticize, right? Um, this is another I think really important topic for sort of uh, bringing the dog training, I don't know what you would call it, community, whatever it is, I don't care
Mm-hmm.
for it, to some state of moral balance. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was not facing criticism for what I was doing with this dog. Um, I was facing what would be tantamount to again, this doesn't bother me in the same way it bothers some people. I am very familiar with trolling, and I've been a maniac on the internet. I still am to this day. I just think potentially more
It shows.
justified than before, for sure. No, for sure. But I had people telling me that I should be arrested. I had people telling
Oh,
me I should take the dog in the backyard and put a bullet in his head. I had people telling me that I was a failure. I'm making the dog worse. I'm a criminal. I'm a dog abuser. The fact that I was letting the dog, like the fact that I was interacting with the dog, quote unquote, over threshold, meant that I was putting the dog in a state of confusion and torment, and that he was going to hate me forever. That the dog was a time bomb, and I want to say that probably like 90% of the feedback that I got on Max was positive. But to be honest with you, a lot of that was from dog owners, not dog trainers,
yeah.
right? Like there was a lot of dog trainers too.
I'm sure that some of the people saying insane stuff to you were random internet people, but I'm sure the majority of them were professional dog trainers, right?
Yeah, yeah, vast majority. A lot of them were verified account dog trainers.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Again,
So,
at the time, I'm small. I'm a no name, rank and file, balanced trainer, just trying to get better. I've got this maniac, dangerous dog that I'm training for free at risk to myself. Again, this is not, I'm not trying to make Dylan sound like a hero of the people right now. That's not what I'm saying, but just to lay the context from behind the scenes. And I'm showing the stuff that no one shows.
hmm,
And a lot of dog trainers really, really had a bad reaction to it. Like a super,
yeah,
super vicious, cruel reaction. So when you say the word criticize, that is something that I got and I continue to get from within my own, like the school that I'm in, right? Where we talk about different ideas and maybe you should try this. I wouldn't have done that. You could have done this faster. You should have done that slower. That's criticism, right?
hmm,
I had I did this workshop type deal in August, back at school for play for shelter dogs. And some of the people in the audience were a lot of them were dog trainers. A handful of them are people that I have a great deal of respect for. And sort of like between segments or even like after the fact, we were talking about the dogs, and they were like, "Yeah, like you did when you did this with that dog, like you could have done that 5 times faster." I was like, "Yeah, you're
hmm,
right. Like that was wrong. Like I should have. I kept the dog in that at that level for too long, and I was too worried about this or that." That's criticism, right?
right,
Um, seeing a small time account post a video, um, and just flagrantly not caring about what's happening or what's going on with the dog or the result, and just telling someone to kill themselves. That's not criticism, guys.
yeah,
Calling someone a dog abuser is not criticism. That's not
yes,
criticism. That's an accusation of crime, right? And at the time it really, really bothered me because um like I love this dog already. And I am just trying my best, and I'm just honestly just clicking record and showing everyone what happens. So that again though, it sort of triggered a little bit of my skeptical nature. It's like, why, like the dog's getting better, right? Like I know he's getting better. Um and I'm posting that he's getting better, and I'm still having people say it's not real. And I'm still having
hmm,
people that have been training dogs for decades tell me to not believe my eyes. And they're telling the whole audience, don't believe your eyes, right? So my skeptical nature, I'm thinking, what is your motivation for being so flagrantly bad faith, unconstructive, and deceptive, right? Um, and I know now that a lot of what I do is taken as a threat to the talkers, I guess is what you would say.
Yeah.
Meaning that if someone is showing dogs and I'm not, I think that in their warped minds, it does cause some level of guilt and self-awareness to surface. And instead of like having an honest conversation with themselves about that, they just have a bad, like just a blow up reaction, right? So last point on this, because I do want to get back to the dog training element. I think this is sort of a really important thing, and I hate the dog training community. I seriously despise it. And this is one of the major reasons. Um, it's if someone is just being a bad person to you because you're showing how you train dogs, you don't have to just accept that laying down as someone having different ideas.
Yeah.
Because that is the framing that like actual psychos have relied on to be able to just be bullies, like carte blanche, just do and say whatever they please, under the guise of, oh, we're just coming from different places. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, at some level, because you're just like a bad person. um but anyways, the response was overwhelmingly positive, and I think that seriously, there continues to be a hunger for people actually showing, like, yo, dude, I just got a really nasty dog dropped off in my program, like, what's gonna happen, I think
Hmm.
there's a morbid curiosity too, where people are like, is this dog gonna kill this guy? Which again, like, I get the thrill. We all turn our heads to car accidents, but um on the dog trainer end, I remember being that way, being like, dude, I wish someone was posting this stuff, right? Like, I
Hmm.
wish that this was just readily available. It's very important to me.
Yeah. And he got adopted how long ago?
Yeah, so I think it's funny that you made mention of like my pettiness, because I did initially have people telling me it's unadoptable, you need to have him put down, you're going to send out a time bomb, you're using an electric collar, which means he's actually just going to hide the aggression, it's going to come out. And so he's been home for, is it 2 years now, like that?
That's what I thought. I thought it was a long time.
Yeah, he just like plays with kids. um he just like he'll go to a beach and just casually meet like 30 people in a day. um he he goes to fancy dog apparel boutiques, and he has the vendors put the collars on him and
Oh
put
my
shirts
God.
on him, and just he's a yeah, I mean, it's a 100% recovery, which is, by the way, not always the case. Very much so not always the case.
I was just wondering if there should be some kind of disclaimer so that we're not breaking
No,
people's
no,
hearts into a thousand pieces if they
no,
have a dog who doesn't like strangers.
no, 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 no. Max, this is my whole deal with management. Management is a very good idea. Um, I think that as an idea, it comes from a very good place. It serves a great function, a great deal of functions, but it is on a sliding scale that should change dog to dog.
Hmm.
And like, oh my God, every once in a while, I don't know why people do this. I guess it's kind of funny. People will take screenshots. Apparently, I come up on Reddit all the time. I don't go on Reddit. I just don't do it. But people are constantly talking about me, and it's in the means that you would expect. But this one comment that people sent me, this guy was like, yeah, Dylan sucks," which is funny. I hate him. Um, if you look at how he trained this dog, and if you look at how he trained that dog, he approached them totally differently. Like, what a fucking hack! It's like,
That's the
dude,
whole point.
it's literally
That's
one
the
of
whole
them.
point.
Yeah, one of them was like a repressed, drugged, um, shelter, a repressed shelter puppy that had lived on a tie out in her backyard her whole life. And then the other one that was like reactive to other dogs, and the other one was an extremely aggressive border collie mutt. These are totally different fucking dogs, right? So on the management thing, like, dude, that's the point. Is that the way that management will fit into a given dog's life will depend on the dog, right?
Yeah.
So Max, like this was something that I got. Dude, I'll be honest with you, I just got pissed off, and like I'm still bitter. I'm still mad about it. People just looking at him like running around playing, being like, the fact that you have that dog without a muzzle, off leash playing, like, go fuck yourself. It's like, dude, you don't know this dog, man. Like, you don't know
Yeah.
him. I get that you're probably bad at training dogs, or maybe you did run into a dog that just can't handle this. Um, that's you just don't know. And to circle it back to posting the videos, you can know if you watch what I posted, right?
And
So
you posted a
you
lot
you
too. Yeah.
everything, so you don't have to speculate with me. You could just, be a functioning, curious person that cares about getting better at training dogs, but you'd rather just fucking fly off the handle. But at some dogs are very complete or close to complete recoveries. Other
Right.
dogs will have more strong considerations, right?
Mm-hmm. That
So
makes sense. I want to emphasize too that you focus on spending a lot of time with your board and trains and you really get to know them, which is something that should just be a default, but for especially when you're working with behavior cases like you are, but is not always the default, not always that common when we're just like taking dogs out for reps and working them only in curated environments like you. So you are working with those dogs and you do really know them and you're bonding with them. You posted so much content of this dog and a lot of the dogs that you've worked with. That's the whole point. But so if people want to know everything, they can go and look and they can find out everything.
yeah, yeah. And I do. Okay, so here's a disclaimer, all right? I got to give a content warning, all right? Because I'm not familiar with your audience. Back then, during like the Max era, and the caption will say crystal meth raccoon. I just referred to him as that, and that turned into like a brand identity for my training for like a year. That was unintentional. I don't actually think it's that funny, but I kind of had to embrace the wave. Um, but back then I did a lot of like, now looking back, sort of like really cringy voiceovers. All right. So there's going to be like a lot of like, gaming references, and I would say maybe, gamer language, if you know what I mean. Um,
I think that's honestly pretty much why I started following you.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's kind of like a morbid curiosity. Like, this is just like, what this guy's just like unhinged. And it is funny. Like, right now, I could totally frame being on your show as part of like the sane washing campaign. Where like, actually, I put on a mask. I put on a mask for Cori, and I'm just trying to pretend to be normal. Not like, guys, like, seriously. The internet is the internet, right? Um,
Yeah.
Dog trainers, for whatever reason, the people that I would consider to be in like my rogues gallery, right? Like, I have all these assorted freaks from all these different methodologies that just hate dogs and are terrible people. They take everything so fucking seriously except for dog training. Okay.
Yes.
That is one of the big problems, is like, I will make a joke that you would see in like a Twitter thread or like Steam forums on a video game, and people have literally called law enforcement, saying that thinking that I'm like a domestic terrorist. Okay. Anyways, I'm not actually insane.
Yes.
I get really passionate about dogs, and sometimes it's not to everyone's taste the way that I react to things, and I totally get that. I'm not asking for a full endorsement on my entire character profile as a human being. But yeah, like, I do actually just care about the dogs at an extreme level, and I just want all of us to get better at treating them better. Anyways, yeah, you can go back and watch the entire Max saga. There's like, chronologically, you can watch a bunch of different dogs all over my Facebook, all over my Instagram. I'm not gonna show the Patreon, but the Patreon has good stuff. On YouTube, I have three at the moment, full length, minimal editing, like week to week case progression videos, at day to day dog training on YouTube. I don't show that either. It's not monetized. I don't like run ads or anything. It's just that I want to put out more videos, like I said earlier, where you can just click on one link and see the entire program versus having to scroll through multiple pages.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, with Max, um, again, like, I took him on with the knowledge that I was in this course at TWC, and I was going to be presenting videos and all that. And I want to say I had Max for like, 4 weeks, And then I submitted 6 or 7 videos to this class. And up until that point, I was running off of the things that I learned at school and things that felt right. And again, like I'm posting a bunch of stuff on the internet and I'm having accounts with 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers telling me that I'm a psychopath and I'm making them worse. But every morning, the dog is better. Every
Mm-hmm.
morning that I go to get Max out of his crate, he's better. And he went from looking at me like, fuck off, like, why are you engaging with me? Like waiting, like curling his lip, waiting to strike, to I open the crate door and he looks at me, come on, dude, let's go. What are we doing? Right. And
Mm-hmm.
let's get in the car. Let's go play. Let's go meet people. Let's do this and that. So my videos, we went over them in the class for hours. And this was another big moment for me. And I just the permission to try with a dog like this. Um like and to experiment, to try to run tests, like really to do things in ways that you maybe wouldn't before, or try a new technique or try a new approach, or I find that so many trainers, for whatever reason, and I do think a lot of it has to do with community backlash, they are paralyzed to just go out and fail at something with a dog,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, what if I just let him bite me and I don't do anything, right? It could reinforce the biting, right? Technically. But if he's been doing this for years, it's one more, you know, Rorschach at the end of Watchmen. What's one more body amongst foundations, right? I don't think anyone was expecting a Zack Snyder quote. All right, I'm not actually a Snyder bro. I hate what he did to Superman. Whatever. Um, but like, okay, he gets to bite one more time, and it reinforced it. Fuck it, who cares? We got to find out, like, because what if he bites and I'm wearing gear and I kind of like squint at him and I go, dude, what are you doing? We're gonna go play. What if that? What if I tell you that my most recent board and train was an extremely like 5 or 6 year human aggression threat, whose human aggression decreased by probably 95% by me letting him bite someone, right? Like, and again, you can watch all those videos. That's actually one of the long form videos on my YouTube. His name's Ollie. But the ability to just be comfortable. Hey, again, this isn't a paid client dog. This is a project. I can have him for as long as I want. I'm gonna go practice techniques. I'm gonna go try different approaches, and I'm just going to see what happens. Right? Like you were allowed to do that. I just happened to also be posting it on the internet in real time, which you are not obligated to do, but I was. And if you do post something that's bad, it's okay. Like if your intentions are clear, I'm trying to do good for the dog, I'm trying to get better, then don't let sociopaths try to bully you into not being curious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just don't allow it to happen, because I almost let it happen to me. So we went over my videos in the class, and my teacher just said, like we were going over, there were certain like punishment events and the play and the socializing and all of these really really crucial things, but the thing that I needed, um he said, hey, just to be clear on this, I know this dog hasn't been he doesn't have a home. This is an extremely challenging situation. Like the fact that you could even get anybody to pay any attention or interest to try to adopt this dog, it would be crazy if you could pull it off. If it doesn't work out, meaning if the dog gets put down, you did everything. Like you truly
Mm-hmm.
went all out. Like it's okay. That again, I needed to be given that green flag, keep going, like just keep going all out basically, right? That was really important to me. That it doesn't always work
Mm-hmm.
out, dude. It doesn't always fucking work out with these dogs. It's just the
Yeah.
way that it is. With Max, that it did, and it's worked out again. One of the handful of like few seriously like 100% near 100% recoveries I've had. But the only way to find out if that's even possible is to go all out and not just settle. Not just look at the dog and be like, you suck, you're terrible, you're a freak, you're a monster. Management, management, management. Like, well, drugs, put him down, lock him away. Like, I we need to do better than that, and we can't. Anyways, Max really, he really taught me that the importance of that clarity of intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And like again, we learn it at school and everything, and it logically makes sense. But putting it into practice, where this dog, like to be clear, he's being a fucking cunt. You know what I mean? Like he's got a fucking bad attitude. Healers are just built diff, right? Like they're
Mm-hmm.
different.
You and I both have one.
Yes, they're terrible, dude. They're terrible. I love my healer. Okay, awful, awful animals, and I love her.
People have a hard time understanding when they see Mars in class and I talk about her at home and how she treats her Dutch Shepherd brother.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll just say in passing, like, she's evil. And people are like,
right,
what? What do you mean she's evil?
right,
And I'm like,
right,
well, yeah,
right,
she's just actually kind of a little bit evil.
right. And you know, it is funny, and we joke, and like we love these dogs. I love my healer, but like they are, when they go bad, it's no joke, right? So
Yeah,
Max,
they're bred to think that they have the power to influence via aggression and their mouth
right,
animals that are, I don't know what the actual math is, but
50 times bigger, whatever it
right.
is, right?
Yeah.
Like they are tough, uh,
Yes.
tough bastards, right?
They're basically
And
hardwired to lash out too, because that's how you herd
right,
cattle.
yes, and at some level too, the way that the the I would say fraudulent authorities in dog training view aggression is solely from this incredibly reductionist, insulting, condemning assessment of the cognitive faculties of the dogs, in that the dogs are basically just mentally retarded children that could never have a motive outside of confusion or fear for literally doing anything, right?
Right.
Um,
Everything is fear, everything is stress, and it's
Everything's
bad
fear,
stress.
everything, right. They are just perpetual, they're stupid, they're idiot victims. And this is a very prevalent force-free stance that drives me insane. There are a lot of balanced people that just totally subscribe to this wholesale. They're just like, yeah, of course. But like I learned better than that. I looked at Max and I was like, you're kind of just being an asshole. Like I
Yeah.
can kind of just tell. I don't think there's anything pathologically insane about you. Yes, you have sent multiple people on emergency room trips. Yes, he did tag me a couple times if I wasn't wearing gloves, and it fucked me up. And yes, he's doing this all the time, and there is a level of wrath in him when that comes out that is alarming, right? But I got this sense that he kind of just knew what he was doing, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, from that point on, I didn't treat him like he's this moron, right? I treated him more so like I'm I don't know. He's like a troubled youth with a bad attitude that, how am I going to get through to him? It's like, well, I need to prove to him that I'm someone worth listening to, right? I need
Mm-hmm.
to I need to meet him where he's at now, right? Like meeting him at that level instead of being afraid to quote unquote trigger him, right? And this dog, for the first time in probably over a year, he realized like this guy sees me. He acknowledges me. Like this, I quickly became the most important person he's ever had in his entire life. And it was
Mm-hmm.
it was just by treating him like he has a personality and a functioning brain, right?
Yeah.
And the clarity of intentions and making yourself, I guess, to get into sort of like cringe language, making myself like emotionally available to the animal, you know?
You were holding space for him?
Yeah. Fuck.
um, this also feels very related to, and I actually have some friends who I know, KPA trainers who I've talked to about this, and they do not all blindly believe in this, but a lot of trainers will say when the dog is over threshold, they can't think anymore. Which is,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think, like everything else, like that is a concept that I think had its moment and is obviously relevant sometimes if a dog is so emotional. And people with dominance theory and stuff, people did used to treat dogs like they should be able to figure it out no matter what is going on.
Right. Right.
But I think this is another thing where we've overcorrected, and it's time to correct back in the other direction, which is that over threshold is not a black and white state of being, and dogs can
Right.
be very aroused and still think and be in control of themselves. That's what bite work is all about, right? That's why I have a
Right.
lot of perspective and respect for that. But I'm sure that was the root of a lot of the backlash, or you referenced it was like people were saying this over threshold
Yeah.
thing a lot.
Yeah.
And going back to the cattle herding thing, like that was
Right.
also that's their job when they're herding cattle, to be that worked up
Right.
and still be problem solving the whole time.
Right. So man, we could go off on this for so
Yeah,
long
I'm like,
about
and we should
about
probably only say two more sentences about it and then move on.
right. The concept, because it's mind blowing. Because the first time I saw it demonstrated again by my teacher, punishing an extremely explosive, dangerous behavior with an extremely out of control dog. Um, the matter of contingency and unconscious reactions, right? So if a dog has an unconscious reaction to something, could be extremely emotional, high intensity, it could be a dangerous reaction, right? If you try to reinforce or punish anything, it's inherently non-contingent because the dog had no control over his actions, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I'll leave it at this. One of the most unfair superpowers that I've been taught is the ability to develop an awareness for when the dog, again, because I deal with like really dangerous, explosive dogs that have been doing horrible things for a really long time. And I get them acting and feeling really, really normal, really fast. But being able to determine when a dog has his little thing where it's just he had no control, whether it was classically conditioned, like whatever, right? And then he says, "No, actually, that is really sick. I like that." And he has the moment where his paws go on the steering wheel, and he decides to double down on it. Then all of a
Yes.
sudden, however I react becomes very clearly contingent. And it's actually astonishing. There are some uh on the rare occasion that like I'm around a trainer that's watching me with a dog. 'Cause I just don't train other trainers, right? But there are rare occasions where I'll team up with somebody, or someone's got weird dogs they want me to check out. They are stunned how much I let go. Like stunned. Like they can't believe, like, dude, why'd you let him do that? It's just like typically the question I'll have back is, do you think he chose to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when like everyone goes silent. It's like, wait, hang on. Yeah.
I think it really boils down to just the very simple idea that aggression and reactivity can be operant, and a lot of trainers are in
Yes.
denial about that.
Oh yes. The motivations for aggression and all those types of behaviors, dude. Oh my god, it's so frustrating because reducing everything to trauma. Uh, the dog had a nightmare last night. Fucking, he's just scared and he lacks emotional regulation. It's like, okay, like I'm not. I deal with dogs again that anyone that's being good faith would classify as either kind of bad to straight up extreme. Many of them have been through extremely bad situations over and over again. Many of them had been to extremely bad situations with dog trainers, right? On both sides of the aisle. I'm telling you, there are dogs that will attack people because they either think it's fun or because they just have a bad fucking attitude.
I think it would be irresponsible of me to not ask this question, but I'm wondering if your answer is going to be that people just have to go and reference specific videos of yours.
Mhm.
But can you just talk a little bit about how you know when you're working with these dogs that they are safe for adoption and that they're not going to revert back to these previous behaviors?
Yeah, man, that's such a good question. Why do you do this? Why? Like, this is another one. This you could literally fill an afternoon talking about that.
Well,
Uh,
Ivan does post these like 4-hour podcast
yeah,
episodes,
yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah,
can see how
yeah.
it's so easy.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, no, this is a really good. I do have a hopefully useful response to this. When it comes to taking on a dog and programming and like having an understanding of what is the goal, you know what I mean? What is the goal that we're going for with any given dog?
Hmm.
And this is why it's infuriating to me, and some more sort of like uh common mythologies, I would say, commonly accepted mythologies in the so-called pet training behavioral mod world. Uh, Real trainers don't have to see the problem to fix it. Um, I've trained aggressive dogs for 30 years and I've been bitten once, like this bullshit, right? Um, you said something earlier about really getting to know the dogs. Um,
Hmm.
if you take a dog on, if you take an aggression case on, and you spend the program doing everything you can as a first operational goal, everything you can to mitigate the chance of the dog having a bad reaction, you do not know the dog. And it is not likely you are going to accomplish anything of any significance with that dog, unfortunately. And of course, if you try to place that dog, or even if you're just sending that dog home after a board and train, you're going to be afraid and you're going to doubt. And of course, the client is going to be afraid um, because they can tell that you are too, and you don't have real answers. So when I have an aggression case, I am not seeking to avoid fires. Okay, I'm trying to find them and put them out. That's why, again, this threshold stuff obsession is so misguided and so destructive. So one of the things, and you can see me do this in my videos all the time. I I try to imagine if there were to be a point of failure when this dog goes back home, or in Max's case when he gets adopted, right? I try to imagine what would be the nightmare. Where what would be the greatest expression of truly stress testing the dog's behavioral changes? I am not talking about ideal conditions where the dog is on leash, he's got his prong collar on, he's in a sit on his bed, and I'm rewarding him for eye contact while someone walks in the door. I think, hey, you know what would probably give the owner a nightmare right now? I have the dog loose in my kitchen, and someone just walks in through the sliding glass door.
Hmm.
Fuck it. We ball, dude. We ball. Let's
So the
find out
answer
what's going to
is
happen.
just you're really
What
doing it, and that's how you know. And I'm guessing you're doing
the
so
real thing,
repeatedly.
the
Yeah.
real thing, in as many combinations and as many contexts and scenarios as I can think of, with as many people, and people love helping in these types of things because they love the dogs, and it's kind of putting the bite gear on is funny. But I I can tell, and again, there's no guarantees in dog behavior, but like the client's watching the videos too, and
Hmm.
they see that, yeah, I left bite gear hidden under a tree, kind of like it's like a D&D scenario. You find a fallen knight's armor. Um, and I had a friend walk down the road without the dog seeing while we're still in the car, put the gear on, and I waved her over, and as I'm getting Ollie out of the car, surprise, a person bursts from around the corner, right?
Yeah.
This is all on video, by the way, like this
I
type of
hadn't
drill. And it's
even
like,
it's so awesome that you're showing that to the clients too, because and
yeah,
this isn't even as important maybe, but like there's so much mystery when you send a dog for a board and train. Like even if you're getting good notes, there's just always this element of mystery. Like the trainer's in there with the dog, like working their magic dog training with
yeah.
their wand, but your clients are literally seeing exactly what you're doing in these sessions.
I don't know who needs to hear this. There is no magic. And if you're dealing with a behavioral mod board and train and you're not seeing the work and they don't have any answers, it's because they don't have any work and they don't have any answers. And you just wasted
Yeah.
a lot of money. And like the best case scenario is they didn't subject your dog to horrible training tactics. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like these types of setups and these types of like the way that I put it is a good behavioral modification program is an ongoing evaluation. Um,
Right.
I I become fascinated with that Sigma grind set. All right. Like I get excited. Like I think about it, I'm like, what's a realistic and of course judicious and fair challenge for my dog right now that is just kind of like ridiculous and funny to see what he would do. Right. And of course, like when you're out with dogs, like the world provides accidental evaluations all the time, which can be scary. But with people just being stupid. But
Yeah.
um, like these types of setups are things that dog trainers avoid on purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and will literally like disparage you for trying to do these types of things, saying it's a way. Oh, I don't need to see that. Well, then you're a coward,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't care, or or we both know the dog's behavior wasn't modified by what you're doing. So something really bad's about to happen. So I guess you don't need to check that. But for
Right.
people that care and are trying, um, we like to actually find answers to give to dog owners because we care about their safety and their sanity. So yes, when it comes to trusting, like learning to trust previously extremely aggressive dogs, it's not just like a fucking YOLO. I just one day I'm gonna let the dog run onto the school bus and kiss all the kids. That's not at all what I do or what I'm advocating for. But I do along the way be like, yeah, let's find out what happens if someone walks through the front door. Right? Like
Yeah.
you gotta find out.
Yeah. You're just spending tons of time with these dogs. You're getting to know them really well. You're intentionally modifying behavior a lot, and then you're putting them in a ton of situations and doing a really thorough holistic assessment of where the dog is at. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's a really good yes. And I think probably to a psychotic degree, like an obsessive and probably I don't want to say overkill, but it could be perceived as overkill with how thorough I am. But again, the stakes are so high.
Yeah.
Um, I really do want to know, what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Great answer. I wasn't sure if
Thank
it
you.
was too obvious of a question. I don't know if you're going to be like, well, because I'm not seeing them do that stuff anymore. But it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, you're not seeing it because you're really testing it, and that's very
yeah.
cool.
That's not good enough. That's not good enough. And you will get trainers that'll be like, oh well, the dog doesn't do it with me, and that's an entire different conversation.
I
Um,
know. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, the dogs you will see, like you will see my videos. No dogs are afraid to show their entire spectrum of personality, including their dysfunctions, in front of me. They show it as readily as they would their owner, and that's very important, super important.
Yeah.
It's an information game, ultimately.
Yes. Oh man. Okay. I think that we're at time. I have more things that I
Nice,
want to ask you, but I think we have to stop. So,
cool.
if this wasn't so terrible, if you'll come back for a round two, we might have to do it. Sounds like you liked my questions.
Yeah, I'm dialed in. Let's do it again. This is
Yes.
really cool, and this touches on a good like maybe 1% of what we could probably talk about in dog training because Um, one of the reasons why I get these types of offers like invites all the time, and I just never do them practically. But I can also tell you're sort of like a psychotic individual when it comes to this type of thing. And it's cool. Like it's cool
Yes.
to be able to chop it up.
Yeah, I think you and I have a lot in common too, which is funny because I think that I do train differently than you do, and
Hmm.
I don't take the kinds of aggression cases that you take, and I'm not
Hmm.
interested in them. I think that's the
Good.
biggest split between you and I, is that I'm pretty concerned about my body being able to function for the rest of my
Right.
life in a way that I
Right. Right.
think
Right.
you
Right.
are not.
Good.
um,
Good. Yeah.
but I think that if someone is working with these kinds of dogs, you need to have Dylan's attitude, because if you are so scared of the dog, and like I don't like working with a big ass stranger danger dog. I don't like that. I'm 5'2".
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you feel that way, then you you can do what you can for those people if they're in love with you and they want to work with you, but it's your responsibility to be honest and open with people about, you know, your limitations and your comfort level, and just letting people know, like, I'm gonna give you my advice, but there are people that would put their hands on this dog, but it's not gonna be me.
I think that's very fair. Very fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. Awesome. I think you already dropped your YouTube channel, but do you want to do some plugs?
You want me to shill right now?
Just plug
You want me to
away.
hit hit the
I
shilling
don't know what
segment? Yeah.
I don't know what shilling means.
I have a weird thing with authenticity where I feel like if I'm ever promoting something that I do, I'm becoming like corporate. Like I'm telling you, the things that happen in my fucking warped brain. But you are right. Like
I
I'm proud
I
of the
have
work.
the
People
same
should see it.
thing. I have the same thing when I post my group classes on my Instagram. I'm like, everyone's gonna hate me for this. It's like, people literally
Yeah.
follow you because you're a professional dog trainer.
Right. Right. I think we need to relax. All right. So yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Here we go. Here we are. Okay. Um,
Hmm.
I would say in terms of like least unhinged to most unhinged.
Hmm.
Um, if you want the most pure, just like this is the dog training being done with less explanations, my YouTube channel, Day to Day Dog Training, where I've got the three like long form behavioral case videos. I intend on making more of them over time for sure. I'm going to make them a priority because I think they're very important. People like them. That's probably the least unhinged. Um, then if you go to my Patreon, I kind of, I'll use some gamer language there just because my camera individual antagonizes me. My Patreon, I post a shitload of like zero or minimal editing, long form sessions. And it's not just like I'm going to teach my dog to walk between my legs, which I like that shit too. But it is literally like, hey, here's like the second time I've ever had this extremely violent dog around a stranger before, and like just
Hmm.
50 minutes of it or something, right? Um, reactivity cases, shutdown dogs, aggression cases. You can find all that type of thing on my Patreon too. And again, probably mildly unhinged, but relatively safe. Then if you get to my Instagram, Day to Day Dog Training, and my Facebook, which is Dylan Jones, I am like vicious, brutal. I'm incredibly hostile to people that I perceive to be bad actors in the industry, and I use a lot of like flagrantly insane language. For sure, that will seem like likely a stark contrast to my performance here. And it will be up to you if you're brave enough to venture to my Facebook and my Instagram. It will be up to you to determine which is the more authentic me, um, the little nice boy here, or the maniac on the internet. Um, and yeah, I think that's everywhere I'm at, right?
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
I will say though, the Facebook gets the most like active. Like I post constantly on there. And it's usually like shorter clips, but it's very
Hmm.
active until I get
Cool.
until I get
Okay.
account banned, anyways. Yep.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.